Greetings. I come to you today from my car. As a coach, I spend a lot of time in my car, so it only makes sense that I would come here and make this video from inside my second home. I'm sending this video out to you because it's around the second or third week of school, and I want to talk to you about something called norming. Traditionally, classrooms have rules. And so when we have those classroom rules, they're usually generated by the teacher, and rules are given usually the first, second day of school, and they're expectations. And we're all accustomed to having rules. Rules make sense. Rules are there for order. Rules have a place. But there's something even better. And that thing that's even better is called norms. It's called the idea of having a norm in the classroom, or multiple norms, I guess, in a classroom. To get there, we'll just make it a verb, so we'll call it norming. So how can you and your students come together to norm your classroom? And so I'm going to tell you how I did it when I was teaching. I'm also going to include an article that you might find helpful. And there are multiple ways that you could norm, but the idea is that it's about getting ideas from students, getting students to collaborate, creating a culture where student voice and their needs are important, and then together coming up with things that the teacher and the students can adhere to. And norms can be about safety, so we don't run, or if there are science, if it's a lab, like science safety, we don't eat things that we randomly find. It can be about moral issues. We wait for somebody else to speak. We don't shove. So it can also just be about classroom procedure or academic expectations. So how do we complete our homework? When is it okay to collaborate? When is work individual? And you just kind of decide as the teacher and as the students in the class, as a group of collective individuals, you decide what works best for your needs, the needs of the classroom. That's the beauty of norming. So let me tell you how I started. I had students create a T-chart. So they had a column on the right and a column on the left. I did this about the 10th day of school, but it's okay if you wait a little bit longer. It's also okay if you do it a little bit sooner. But I just asked I had written on the board, and I had one question for the students to answer in the left-hand column. I asked, in the past 2 weeks, what has interfered with your learning? So what have you experienced that's maybe hindered your learning? And I didn't prompt them really in any other way. And I had them brainstorm at first, so just silently write. And then I had them talk to their table mates about it, or their shoulder partner, about things that interfere with their learning. And then I asked them for the right-hand column of the T-chart, what are some things that, if rules or norms had been in place, what are some things that you would like to see done in order to prevent these things that have interfered with your learning? And students, again, I had high school, but most students are aware of, oh, this is a good feeling, this is a good place, this is what I should be doing, this is what I want. And they also have an idea of, these are things that have interfered with them and interfered with that, and things that I could do to make it better. So I would say, starting as early as probably 8 years old, students would be able to do something like this. It may have to look a little different if you have smaller children. So if you're K through 3 or K through 2, it may have to look a little different, but look a little differently than that. So anyway, had students norm. I had students give me their opinion, and then we normed by having small table discussions where they came up with a list of norms we wanted to see, and then we came up with a consensus as a group of what our norms would be. The next day I had the norms written out, and I thanked them for coming up with the norms. It makes it very much about like their possession. They own these norms. It makes it easier to enforce them too when you say like, hey, we decided together that we would always turn work in, before the bell rang or something like that. And then I actually had all the students sign them. I did not do the following, but I have been in a classroom before where they had the norms and they had the student's signature on the page. And then if you had a classroom visitor come in, so I was actually the visitor, a student in the class presented the norms to me and asked me to sign. So it was very much like look, you have entered our classroom. These are the rules that we operate by. And so that was really a very cool experience. Like I said, I did not do that, but I thought that was awesome that that teacher did. So anyway, I want to encourage you to norm, but I also want to encourage you to reach out to me if you have further questions about norming. I'm happy to plan it with you, go over it afterwards with you. I can even hopefully be there with you if possible when you tackle that. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to norming your classroom if you're interested.